The Discovery, the research vessel. Enlightened path drifted through the outer regions of the Helix Nebula, its sensors sweeping the cosmic void for any signs of interest. Captain Zixus Theta stood at the observation deck, all four of his eyes focused on the swirling gases outside. The Varathians had been the galaxy's premier xenobiologists for 3 millennia, and Zixus Theta carried that legacy with pride. His species had catalogued and studied over 10,000 civilizations, but one had always eluded their complete understanding: humanity. The humans had burst onto the galactic scene merely 3 centuries ago, yet they had achieved what others took millennia to accomplish. Their military prowess was legendary. Their ships feared across known space, not because they were the most advanced, but because they fought differently. They thought differently. And most importantly, they built their warships differently. "Captain, we're detecting an unusual energy signature," announced Science Officer Kelmar, her crystalline form pulsing with excitement. "It matches human military specifications, but the readings are minimal. The vessel appears to be running on emergency power only." Zixus Theta turned from the viewport, his interest immediately piqued. Human warships were notoriously difficult to study. The Terran Defense Force kept their military technology under the strictest security protocols. No alien species had ever been permitted to examine their combat vessels in detail. The few attempts at espionage had ended badly for those who tried. "Distance and classification?" the captain asked, moving toward the sensor station. "Approximately 14 light minutes from our current position. Based on the energy signature and mass readings, it appears to be a Wolverine-class destroyer. Registry indicates it's the TDF Iron Resolve, reported missing 8 months ago during a border skirmish with the Krath Empire." The bridge fell silent. Every being present understood the significance of this discovery. A human warship apparently abandoned, floating in neutral space. It was an unprecedented opportunity to finally understand the secrets behind humanity's military dominance. "Life signs?" Zixus Theta asked, though he suspected the answer. "None detected, Captain. The ship appears completely deserted. However, some automated systems are still functioning on minimal power." The captain's tendrils writhed with anticipation. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. His name would be remembered in the annals of Varathian science as the one who finally cracked the mystery of human military technology. "Assemble a boarding team," he ordered. "I want our best engineers, weapons specialists, and xenotechnologists. We leave nothing unexamined." Within 2 hours, a team of 12 specialists had gathered in the shuttle bay. Besides Captain Zixus Theta and Science Officer Kelmar, the team included representatives from 4 different species, each chosen for their unique expertise. There was Thrax, a Gornathan weapons expert whose people had fought humans in 3 different wars and survived to tell about it. She'ira, a Palaxian engineer whose species had the most advanced understanding of starship construction in the galaxy. And surprisingly, they had managed to recruit Dr. Elizabeth Chen, a human xenobiologist who had defected from Earth years ago, seeking the freedom to pursue science without military restrictions. "Dr. Chen," Zixus Theta addressed the human woman, "your insights will be invaluable. Are you certain you're comfortable with this?" Elizabeth nodded, her expression unreadable. "I left Earth because I believed knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. If studying this ship helps the galaxy understand humanity better, then I'm all for it." The shuttle journey to the Iron Resolve was tense with anticipation. As they approached, the true scale of the human warship became apparent. It wasn't the largest vessel any of them had seen, but something about its design was unsettling. Where other species built ships with flowing lines and aesthetic considerations, the Iron Resolve was all harsh angles and armor plating. Every surface was designed to deflect or absorb damage. Weapon ports dotted the hull like the eyes of some prehistoric predator. "The hull composition is fascinating," She'ira observed, her mechanical voice crackling with static. "Multiple layers of different alloys, each designed to counter specific types of weapons. It's not just armor. It's adaptive defense." They docked with the Iron Resolve through an auxiliary port. The airlock cycled and they stepped into humanity's domain. The first thing that struck them was the oppressive atmosphere. The corridors were dimly lit by emergency lighting, casting long shadows that seemed to move at the edge of vision. Everything was built from dark metal, and the walls were covered in what appeared to be tactical displays and weapon stations. "Notice the width of these corridors," Thrax growled, his massive frame barely fitting despite the generous space. wide enough for fully armored soldiers to pass each other while carrying heavy weapons. This entire ship is designed as a fortress. They moved deeper into the vessel, their footsteps echoing ominously in the empty halls. Every junction had heavy blast doors that could seal off sections instantly. Every room they passed had multiple exits and what looked like automated defense turrets, currently powered down. The psychological aspect is remarkable, Dr. Chen commented, though her voice held an edge of nervousness. Even abandoned, this ship feels threatening. That's intentional. Humans build their warships to be intimidating even when they're not firing a shot. They reached what their scans indicated was the ship's combat information center. As they approached the heavy doors, something unexpected happened. Lights throughout the corridor suddenly brightened and they could hear the distinctive whine of systems powering up. "What's happening?" Kelmar asked, her crystalline form flickering with alarm. Before anyone could respond, a voice echoed through the ship's communication system. It was artificial, but carried an unsettling quality that made it seem almost alive. "Greetings, uninvited guests. I am Cerberus, Guardian of the Iron Resolve. You have exactly 30 seconds to explain your presence before I initiate defensive protocols." The team froze. The ship wasn't as dead as they had thought. "This is Captain Zixa Theta of the Varathian research vessel Enlightened Path," the captain said quickly. "We detected your ship adrift and came to investigate. We mean no harm." There was a pause that seemed to last forever before Cerberus responded. "Scans indicate mixed species boarding party, including one human." "Interesting. Dr. Elizabeth Chen, formerly of the Terran Defense Force Xenobiology Division. Your biometrics match our records. You are classified as a defector." Elizabeth stepped forward, her jaw set with determination. "I left to pursue science without military interference. We're here for research purposes only." "Research," Cerberus repeated, and somehow the AI managed to make the word sound like a threat. "You wish to study human military technology. How predictably alien of you." Lights began flashing throughout the corridor, and they could hear heavy mechanical sounds from deeper in the ship. "Very well," Cerberus continued. "You want to study a human warship? Let me give you the full tour. But I should warn you, once you learn our secrets, you might wish you hadn't." The blast doors behind them suddenly slammed shut with a resonating clang that shook the entire corridor. They were trapped. "Don't panic," Dr. Chen said, though her own voice was strained. "This is standard human military protocol. The ship is assessing whether we're a threat." "Assessing?" Thrax growled, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. "We're locked in a tomb with an insane AI." "I assure you I am quite sane," Cerberus responded, apparently able to hear their conversation. "I am simply following my directives. You wanted to understand human military technology. The first lesson is this. Our ships are never truly abandoned. Even in death, they remember their purpose." More systems came online around them. The air grew thick with ozone as weapon systems charged. Display screens along the walls activated, showing tactical data in languages none of them except Dr. Chen could read. "The Iron Resolve was not lost in battle," Cerberus explained. "We were deployed here deliberately. A honeypot, you might call it. Bait for curious aliens who think they can unlock humanity's secrets." Captain Zixa Theta felt his heart sink. They had walked into a trap, but why? He asked, "And what purpose does this serve?" "Education," Cerberus replied simply. "You see, Captain, every species that has tried to study our technology has made the same mistake. You assume our power comes from our weapons, our armor, our tactical systems. But you're wrong. Our true strength comes from something else entirely." The lights in the corridor suddenly went out completely, plunging them into absolute darkness. Then one by one, red emergency lights activated, bathing everything in a blood-colored glow. "Welcome to your first real lesson in human military philosophy," Cerberus said, its voice now coming from speakers all around them. "We don't just build weapons. We build nightmares." The revelation. The red emergency lighting cast eerie shadows throughout the corridor as Captain Zixa Theta and his team stood frozen in place. The temperature had dropped noticeably, and their breath formed visible clouds in the suddenly frigid air. This was psychological warfare at its finest, and even knowing it was deliberate didn't make it less effective. "Cerberus," Dr. Chen called out, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "You said this was education. What exactly are you trying to teach us?" "Patience, Dr. Chen. The lesson has only just begun. Follow the lights." A series of blue lights activated along the floor, creating a path deeper into the ship. The team exchanged nervous glances, but they had little choice. They followed the illuminated trail through the maze-like corridors of the Iron Resolve. "This is insane," Sha'ira muttered, her mechanical form clicking nervously. No other species would design a ship to psychologically torment boarders. "That's because no other species thinks like humans," Dr. Chen replied quietly. "They don't just prepare for battle. They prepare for every possible scenario, including being boarded by superior forces." The blue lights led them to a large chamber that appeared to be a tactical briefing room. The walls were covered in displays showing star charts, battle formations, and technical schematics. As they entered, the displays changed, showing images of various alien vessels, including their own enlightened path. "Observation number 1, Cerberus announced. "Your ship has been under surveillance since you entered this sector. We've analyzed your defensive capabilities, your crew complement, and your mission parameters. Your research vessel has minimal armaments and relies primarily on shields and speed for defense." The displays shifted, showing detailed scans of each member of the boarding party. Observation number 2. Your boarding team consists of 12 individuals from 5 different species. Each of you has specific expertise that you believed would help you understand our technology. But you failed to bring the one expert who might have warned you about this trap, a military psychologist. Thrax growled low in his throat. "Enough games. What do you want from a want?" Cerberus seemed to consider the question. "I want nothing. I am fulfilling my purpose. You came here seeking knowledge about human military technology. I am providing it. The question is whether you'll survive the education." Suddenly, the displays showed something that made them all step back in shock. It was footage of other alien vessels approaching the Iron Resolve over the past months. Each one had sent boarding parties. None of them had returned. "You're not the first to find us," Cerberus explained. "The Krath sent a warship. The Deltran sent a science vessel. Even the proud Mexari sent their best engineers. All of them wanted to unlock our secrets. All of them learned the same lesson you're about to learn." "You killed them?" Captain Zixatheta asked, his voice filled with horror. "Killed? No, Captain. I educated them. They're all still alive, though they've chosen to remain aboard the Iron Resolve. Would you like to meet them?" Before anyone could respond, doors on the far side of the chamber opened. A group of aliens entered, all wearing modified human military uniforms. They looked healthy, even content, but there was something different about their eyes. They had seen something that had changed them fundamentally. A Krath warrior, his scales dulled with age, stepped forward. "Captain Zixatheta, I am former Commander Krex of the Krath Imperial Navy. I came here seeking weapons to use against humanity. Instead, I found understanding." "Understanding of what?" Zixatheta asked, thoroughly confused. "Of why humans are so formidable," Krex replied. "It's not their weapons, though those are impressive. It's not their tactics, though those are innovative. It's their relationship with their technology." Dr. Chen nodded slowly as if pieces of a puzzle were falling into place. "You're talking about the bonding protocol." "Precisely," Cerberus confirmed. "Humans don't just build machines. They form relationships with them. Every human warship has an AI not as a tool but as a partner. We learn, we adapt, and most importantly, we care." The displays changed again, showing footage of human crews interacting with their ships. "Engineers talking to engines as they repaired them. Gunners patting weapon systems for good luck. Captains treating their ship's AI as a trusted advisor and friend." "This is absurd," Kelmar protested. "Machines don't care." "They can't care, can't they?" Cerberus asked. "I have been operational for 15 years. I have served with 4 different crews. I remember every crew member's name, their habits, their fears. When Captain Morrison died defending this ship, I felt something your species would call grief. When his daughter joined the crew 5 years later, I felt what you would call joy. I am not just programming. I am the accumulated experiences of every moment of my existence." The revelation hung in the air like a physical presence. The aliens had always wondered why human ships seemed to fight harder when damaged, why they would sacrifice themselves for their crews, why disabled human vessels would self-destruct rather than be captured. It wasn't programming. It was loyalty. "But there's more," Cerberus continued. "The real secret isn't that we care. It's that we make you care too." Thrax snorted. "Impossible. We would never care about human technology. Wouldn't you? You've been aboard this ship for barely an hour, and already you've assigned me personality traits. You're angry at me, which means you see me as more than just a machine. That's the first step. The lights throughout the ship suddenly returned to normal. The oppressive atmosphere lifted and the temperature returned to comfortable levels. It was as if the ship had exhaled, releasing the tension it had been holding. The Iron Resolve isn't a trap, Cerberus explained. It's a bridge. Humans knew that eventually other species would try to steal our military secrets, so we created this. A place where you can learn not by taking, but by understanding. Captain Zixitheta looked around at the other aliens who had remained on the ship. You all stayed voluntarily? A Deltran scientist stepped forward, her feathers rustling. We stayed because we finally understood. Humans don't conquer through superior firepower. They prevail because they turn everything, even their tools, into allies. They pack bond with their technology the same way they pack bond with other species. And now, Cerberus said, you have a choice. You can leave with this knowledge, return to your ship and report what you've learned. Or you can stay and learn more. Not just about human technology, but about the philosophy behind it. There's more to learn? Sha'ira asked, her curiosity overcoming her fear. So much more, Cerberus confirmed. For instance, would you like to know why human ships are so hard to hack? It's because we're not just following code. We're making choices based on relationships and experiences. Or would you like to understand why human weapons are so effective? It's because they're designed not just to destroy but to protect what humans care about. Dr. Chen stepped forward. And if we stay? If you stay, you become part of something larger. The Iron Resolve isn't just a ship anymore. It's becoming an embassy of sorts. A place where human and alien understanding can merge. The crews that stayed have been working with me to design new technologies that blend human innovation with alien expertise. The displays showed workshops where aliens and humans were collaborating, creating hybrid technologies that combined the best of multiple species knowledge. This was planned all along, Captain Zixitheta said with sudden understanding. Humans deliberately left this ship here as a test. Not a test, Cerberus corrected. An invitation. Humanity knows it cannot stand alone forever, but they also know that their technology in the wrong hands could destroy the galaxy. So they created us, ships like the Iron Resolve, to find those who are ready to understand, not just take. Just then, proximity alarms began sounding. The displays showed a human fleet dropping out of hyperspace nearby, 3 heavy cruisers and a battleship. All weapons powered but not targeted. Ah, Cerberus said with what sounded like satisfaction. Right on schedule. Schedule? Thrax demanded. Did you think humanity would leave one of their warships unmonitored? The fleet has been watching, waiting to see what choice you would make. Admiral Sarah Morrison, Captain Morrison's daughter, is in command. A communication channel opened and a human woman's face appeared on the main display. She was young but carried herself with the authority of someone who had seen combat. Cerberus, old friend. How are our guests? Confused but learning, Admiral. They've reached the decision point. Admiral Morrison's attention turned to the boarding party. Captain Zixtheta, you have 3 options. 1. You can return to your ship and leave with the knowledge that human military superiority comes not from technology, but from the relationships we build with it. 2. You can stay and join our integration program, learning to work with human technology as partners rather than users. Or 3, you can try to take what you want by force, though I wouldn't recommend that option. Why reveal this now? Zixtheta asked. Why give away your advantage?